Now, you're going to like this next story because you have been in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, haven't you? And there have been some shock departures from the jungle this week, so we thought it was only right that we delved into the goings-on. As well as taking a look back at it, on my opinion, on the best series, we're going to be talking about 2004. Was it 2004?
2004.
When our very own Peter Andre claimed second place.
Actually, it was third.
Oh.
But who's counting? I wasn't first, that's for sure.
Who wrote that?
I'm always very excited to welcome my fellow campmate Jennie Bond, who I haven't spoken to for years. She's going to give us her thoughts on this series and, of course, our own series. How are you, lovely Jennie? You all right?
Hello. Yeah.
Okay,
well,
does this series bring back memories?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I'm sure it must do for you as well. I always think of you when I cook rice, actually. You were really good at rice. You were an ace at that. And you kept us happy singing. And I think we had a lot of fun. We got on pretty well, didn't we?
We had the best time. You know, it's really weird when you think about it, Jennie, that there's not many people in the world that have experienced the jungle. And, you know, I mean, in my situation, obviously, it's my children are the only two ever jungle babies, really, that came from. Yeah, so isn't that amazing? But what about you? Do you watch it and just sort of think, oh my gosh, you know, you can smell the smells and taste the food and.
I do, and I think who's sleeping in my bed, and I feel quite nostalgic about it because I think for us, you know, it was such a break from, well, for everyone, I suppose, from social. I don't think there was social media, but a break from your phones, a break from your emails. I found it very tranquil, a little bit boring. I think that's the worst thing, being bored in the jungle.
Yeah. So what are you making with what's happening now, and with Nigel Farage?
Well, I think Nigel is showing his vulnerability. He's also got naked ambition, which I think is a little bit off-putting personally. Someone who feels he has to do the trials because he wants 25% of airtime. I don't think that's very endearing. And then when he does get to do the trials, he doesn't seem to be very good at them, actually.
I know, Jennie, I was a bit disappointed with that Bush Tucker trial the other day. I don't know if you watched that one. I think he had to stick his head underwater and he couldn't manage it. And I was like, come on, Nigel, it's only water.
Yeah, and last night he couldn't undo a padlock. He was completely incapable of getting a key in the right hole, it seemed. So, yeah, not too good for him. And Fred, I mean, I'm sure he's absolutely lovely. He is, but he's a little bit of a prima donna, isn't he, around the cooking. And the cooking is one of the best things of the day because it's so boring. If you get to cook, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, you're absolutely. I mean, I remember the whole cooking thing. It was sort of like just a dream to be able to eat anything. Now, when we were in the jungle, I have to say the actual real story that should have been focused on was you and Johnny Rotten, because you had someone who was anti-establishment. You were the raw correspondent, and there was some sparks there, but it didn't really. I don't think they really showed a lot of that. Do you remember all that?
I remember getting on really well with John, actually, because I felt that he loved the jungle, the wildlife, and the experience like I did. And we had a couple of discussions, I suppose, about royalty, but I felt that he was apart from you, one of my best mates in there. I mean, the person I didn't get, that everyone thought I would get on, was Lord Brocket. And he and I did not get on.
Lord Brocket. Yeah, but I just thought that. Yeah, you guys together were a real. I know what you're going to say. I can feel it.
No, literally, Jennie. Looking back at these pictures, absolutely incredible. Anton Deck looks so young. I mean, I know it was 19 years ago now. Pete, you look so different.
Okay, what
the hair,
hang on.
I mean,
just say what you're going to say.
The headband.
Just say I looked really young there.
You look really young.
That's what you're. Yeah. That's what you're getting at.
But it was 19 years ago, to be fair.
It was. Headband was great though. I still rock them once in a while.
You like your accessories, don't you? But that's lovely, Jennie, that you and Peter clearly had such a lovely friendship in the jungle. Do you feel like you do form really close friendships really quickly when you're in that kind of environment?
Oh, I think you have to, yeah. I think the secret is to be yourself, and there are other people that you get along with, just nestle up with them. I remember being very sort of motherly to Kerry Katona because a bit frightened of something. She got a bit upset from time to time. And she was brilliant. She was the queen of the jungle. And Pete, you remember on the last day, I think you were encased or in a whole lot of spiders or something, and you came back and you were really stressed about it. I remember rubbing your back, which was a pleasure.
I have to say, Jennie, you were one of the nicest people ever, honestly.
Oh. Well, that's very sweet of you. Right now, things have changed so much. I've got my 2 little grandchildren in the background, and I hope they're going to behave because they're very tiny, so they're doing their best to behave.
Look, Jennie, whilst we've got you, we need to ask you about Endgame, the book that everyone is talking about this week. Omid Scobie, the naming of those 2 royals, which we're not going to do on the show today, but somehow made their way into the book in the Netherlands before it was pulled. I mean, what do you make of this whole debacle this week?
Well, I think it's very sad. I think it's a very unpleasant, nasty, snide book. He makes some very unflattering, cruel, I think, remarks about almost every member of the royal family, except, surprise, surprise, Harry and Meghan. And the naming of these 2 individuals, I think, is very disruptive to the work, the good work that they are doing. And I'm surprised that Buckingham Palace have taken a rather different stand on this. Instead of saying nothing, they're making it very clear that they actually are considering all options.
Yeah, I mean...
And so include legal action.
Yeah, the silence definitely is deafening, as they say. Do you think Harry and Meghan had anything to do with it?
Well, we have to take them at their word. I don't think they're liars by any means. I would never accuse them of that, and they are letting it be known. They've said nothing officially, but via, I don't know, friends or whatever, because they don't talk to the mainstream media, they're saying that they haven't had anything to do with it. I think it would be helpful if they stood up and publicly said that and denounced the book and what's in it. But they haven't done that either.
What do you make of our former Prime Minister, Boris Johnson? He's been speaking or writing in his Daily Mail column, and he says that around this question of Prince Archie's skin colour, he's written that it's not remotely racist to question a baby's skin colour before they're born. What do you make of those comments?
I think that's absolutely true. Sir Trevor Phillips, who is a very well-known major equality campaigner, has said the same, that it's absolutely perfectly normal in a biracial family to say, oh, I wonder what our baby's going to look. Will it look like mum or dad? Will it have ginger hair? Will it have ginger hair? I mean, is that offensive to say, will it be ginger? Will it have a big nose? Will it have big ears? It's the kind of discussions normal people have. So I think it is a storm in a teacup.
Jennie, really, really good to see you this morning. Lovely to reunite the friends through the screen. Thank you so much, Jennie. Thank you for your time.
This goes back to what I was saying before, where people get offended because they can, right? Now, my family's Greek, and we always talk about, is the baby going to be dark? Is the baby going to have dark eyes? Is the baby going to be English-looking, with the blue eyes? How is that offensive? That is a normal conversation families have. I don't know. That to me just makes no sense.
It's really difficult, isn't it? Because we weren't actually in the room, so we don't know what the conversation was. But I think you're right in if you're literally just speculating about what the baby might look like. I think that's natural with any couple, isn't it? Just to talk about what your baby might look like.
It's very different if you say something malicious.
Yes.
If you're saying it in a malicious way, of course it's offensive.
Yes.
But if you're asking a question, and again, we weren't there, so we don't know.
No, but really interesting, though, that you're saying that happens in Greek families and you've experienced it yourself. Yeah, well, let us know what you think of that. We know that's going to get you talking at home. GBNews@gbnews.com.
One thing for sure, if it's Greek, we're always going to have big noses. Anyway.